Shame on us. We did not have this prepared like we should have. Hello from the Hashknife. Last night was a bit exciting. We saw a fire on the horizon. Correction, Dad did when he was coming back from his judge work. So we hastily put the tank on the back of the pickup. We took a theoretical concept, which was to suction a bunch of water directly from the livestock tank down at the tire well and put it in there. And we had probably close to 50 gallons from the garden hose that we had strung from the shop into there. And we filled the other 250 gallons of water from the livestock tank, which worked pretty good. So
yeah, we just used the, while we were putting this together, just put enough water to prime the pump when we backed down there. So that was the whole purpose. No big deal.
Now, in our haste, we made do with the pole rope because it, of course, in a time of emergency or semi-emergency, something will go wrong. That was it. This thing broke. So what we're going to do today is we're going to pull this apart again and we're going to replace the rope. Yeah. And then I think we're just going to let this sit, right?
Yep, we're just going to let it sit because actually yesterday, as your mother
shame on us. We did not have this prepared like we should have a couple days ago, actually a couple weeks ago, because it's really dry.
It's really dried out this last week, but we've been busy with this other project so much that it's been exhausting, and nobody wanted to go out in the heat after we've been out in the heat all day. And yesterday, as we were coming back from Billings, Lisa and I was thinking, God, you know what? We get home, maybe tomorrow we'll put this water tank on because we had a little bit of dry lightning in the area, not right here, but it was in the area. I thought we need to get this thing going. Well, yeah, we upped that plan by about 12 hours. So.
No, and the good thing was, like I said in the short that I shared, because if you want live updates from the ranch, you can pretty much follow the Hashknife Kid channel, and it's like the daily snips that I do in the vertical versus the horizontal. But the good problem was that once we got there, it was done. They were just mopping up. So this is spring loaded. You can see like that. So I've just pulled it all the way out to there. Now I'm holding this piece to keep it from moving. We're going to try and reload this string right here.
And because there's more, we may just put another turn on that, put another turn on this flywheel here and tighten that spring because we got a little bit more rope to have to deal with. So we'll just cut that and lay our pieces and parts here.
There's multiple spots this can go through, just the one.
Just the one. Yep. Yeah, there's only the one. So line that bad boy up. Okay, I'm going to pull that through.
Well, you're not going to get it to that handle.
Nope, you're right. Put the handle on first, Brandon.
Opposite direction.
Good God. Time for me to take a day off. This could be a day of rest.
It's Saturday.
Oh, yeah, we can't do that.
Sure hope there's not a fire while we're doing this.
Okay. So now I just tie a knot in this. And if this thing had broke, we just do the same thing. And I have had the wire, we would just wind that up, do exactly the same thing, pull it off. This is the fastest, easiest way to do this. But I have had the spring break before. And now gently pull that, let that come back in. All right. How much spring does that have?
Oh, it's still pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
As long as it'll seat without, oh yeah. Good. All right. So now let's reinstall. It's always good to just keep a couple of these things you're going to need. You can't overdo the size on these guys when you're fighting a fire. You need to do a clamp. Larger is better. So this is ready to go for another rope break. Because they will break, you use them enough. So let's show them a little bit about how this works. This principle behind this pump.
Water goes in, water comes out.
Water goes in, water comes out. So for those of you that don't know or have limited experience with pumps.
Like me, he had to give me a rudimentary
crash course. Yeah, that's true. This is just a very small centrifugal pump. Got an engine driving this little tiny pump. it takes suction from the inside or from the center of it, and this engine spins the veins that are inside of here that are kind of shaped kind of on a spiral in a way that widen out. And then what it does is it pushes water as it spins and brings it from the center. It pushes it out and up through this discharge hose and then out to a hose, or it comes up, you can bring it up through here. This is also a spot where you can prime the pump. If you had to, you could open this up, pour water down in here, because you have to have water in this pump for it to work. It don't necessarily, well, and it can burn it up if you don't have water in there, obviously. But the suction comes in, suction pipe is always a larger diameter than your discharge, and it will come in on this side. You'll see how it comes through the center and discharges out through whatever piping you want to put in here. Here I've got set for 2 pipes if we want, and I've also got it set on this one. You could put a garden hose on here if you want, or 2 garden hoses. Sometimes it's pretty handy in mop up to have a smaller amount. You're not wasting a lot of water. And Braden is more of an expert on this. Well, he is an expert on this, being a wildlands firefighter for the last 9 years. Of course, he's out on a fire right now. Just left one and last night, headed to another one this morning. So anyway, what you'll notice here is you got a tank full of water is great for your suction line, but this suction line also may need to be drafted from another source like our tank. And that's where we hooked up this pipe and just kind of keep it with us, because you can pull this out of an irrigation ditch or another tank or something, or a portable tank. Open this up with these cam lock fittings. These are very quick fittings. You see the water comes out of that. We can just hook this up now. Hook that guy in. Close your cam locks. It's tight. It's water or leak proof. And then we keep this valve closed after it's all primed and we have water in here. Then we can just dump that into a water source and then discharge through this spillback line. And I can also open up the valve and I can have my maximum pump draw from here, which isn't much, but here's where I really get the bang for the buck through our firefighting hose. We can just use it to fill right into the top of our tank. And it's closed now, opened up, and it would probably just sit here and you could literally drain this through the tank, but because it is primed. Shut that off, and you've got a fog and stream for whether you're being defensive and need a fog. If you've got, for some reason, fire was coming up and you needed to protect yourself, you can open this up to a big fog pattern, and it cools you, keeps that heat away from you directly, and then will get you through whatever you need to do, protect whatever you have to protect, and then you put it back onto a stream for more of an offensive firefighting. It's defensive and offensive depending on the situation, but I can tell you some of my past life in the refinery. I've worked with the rescue squads a little bit as an EMT, but I also was on the end of a hose training with those guys, and we would have scenarios and we went down to Elko, Nevada, had a training school. Texas A&M has a phenomenal training school, and they would had all these props like a refinery, and they would have like propane blowing out of a flange on a piece of pipe that teed off of another piece, or right at a valve where the valve connected to the pipe, and it would literally be blowing out fire. And so you would go in with your team, and particularly using that defensive type pattern, that fog pattern, you could use that offensively to go in, and you could put that fog and ahead of you, walk in, push it through, and have minimal fire or heat coming through right at a valve, and having the curtain of water past the valve. The valve would now be here instead of in the middle of the fire, and then you could reach up and block it in, close it, and shut the fire off. Some really neat stuff. That's very, very simple thing. They use foam. They do all kinds of different techniques, but just kind of an idea why that fog pattern would work so well. You don't use that much out here. You shouldn't be that close. When in doubt, stay in the black. If it's burned, it ain't going to burn again, but it can be hot where it's burned. And I've done this by myself, where I've taken this line, unreeled it, and come through, brought the hose through the back window, and then had the fire hose, the nozzle end, sitting here while I'm able to drive and squirt water, fight fire at the same time along the outside perimeter of a fire. And it works effectively, but it is so much easier with two people. Believe me, that's a real pain, because you're trying to do about 5 things at once, and you're not doing any of it well. Trying to go through terrain with a vehicle. This is slow moving. We got 300 gallons of water here. You're approaching 2 tons of weight. So you got to be careful. You can't overdo it, but you got to be careful where you put this too, because it is tied down and you can turn the whole thing over. Yesterday kind of was one of those red-faced moments where, like, God, we should have been on this a little bit faster. We've been tied up with all the higher priority stuff, and frankly just been exhausted at night, so we just didn't get to it. But fire is a motivator. It will make you move fast, whether you're tired or not.
Less than 24 hours ago, we saw a fire in that direction, and now we see another one today. Thankfully, we have stuff on the back like we should have yesterday, so we're ready to head out and maybe try and help. We're discussing how there was some lightning in the area, and it's very possible that some dry lightning hit and may have started that. Just hit a tree, I think. Yep. They opened that gate and they're headed over. So they're gonna probably try and keep it from running up this
Right, we're stopping at the top of the hill if we can. That's my guess.
They told us where to go, so that's where we're heading.
Pinch that off. Now we got that pinched off. They put a line in here, and now we've got it stopped, suppressed down to the fire line. Now we're just gonna hit some of these hot spots. Yeah, we used up all the water, and now it's time to replenish, and hopefully the water rots in the tank the rest of the summer. But, well, that's gonna happen or not. There, we got some water going in the tank.
One of the deputies joked that I actually finally did something instead of making videos, which is good. But honestly, we did what every other neighbor in the area did, plus the volunteer fire department. We all look out for each other because one day we might need somebody to come look out for us. That's what modern farming and ranching is all about.